Hello, today I'm reading 5 through 8 of Out of Touch, Out of Time, Ray X Listener. Chapter 5, Smile. The sunshine was glistening through the windows of the girls' bedroom. Everyone was getting ready for a new day at Gracefield House, putting on their brown boots, brushing their hair, and making their beds. Yasmin was still asleep, wrapped under her blankets, until she regained her consciousness again. She had no memory of the events from last night, until... "Yasmin!" Emma whispered loudly into your ear as she pulled the blankets off of you. "Huh?" "Oh, Emma, it's just you." You sigh with relief, finally waking up from your sleep. "We left little Bunny at the gate," Emma whispered loudly into your ear. Your eyes widened, remembering what happened last night, and you began to feel sick. "Emma, I think I left my drawing for Connie there too," you say, staring at the ground. "Oh no, we have to tell Norman about this," Emma added quickly as she tied her laces and ran down the corridor to the dinner hall. Yasmin was the last one in the bedroom. You got dressed into a clean uniform and made your bed. You brushed your hair into 2 pigtails with some white ribbons. "Okay, so just act like nothing happened and you'll be fine," you say to yourself, sitting at the edge of your bed, looking out the window. Suddenly, a hand touched your shoulder. "Ah!" "Oh, it's just you," you say, panicking for a moment. "What, are you disappointed?" Ray asked, chuckling before sitting down next to you. No. It's actually a relief." "All right then. Come on. Breakfast is ready," Ray says, getting up and leaving the room. "By the way, I like your hair," he commented before walking down the hallway. Your face turned red, and you put your hands over your face. "I hope today won't be so troublesome," you groaned. You entered the dinner hall. The fresh scent of toast and fruit filled the room. There were children running around, playing with paper airplanes, while some were setting up the table with bowls, spoons, and glasses. You turned next to you to see Norman. "Act as if nothing happened, okay? Smile," he whispered before going over to Dawn and Gilda to help set up the table. You tried your best to act happy as you felt so sick and you just wanted to go back to bed. You looked across the table to Emma, who was putting bowls on the table. She looked like she didn't sleep at all last night. You felt so bad, but the last person she wanted to see was... "Good morning, Yasmin. Are you feeling all right? You spent a long time in bed this morning." "Mom, don't worry, I'm okay," you say, trying to act happy with the sweat dripping down your forehead. "All right then. I hope you're looking forward to breakfast. I know it's one of your faves," Mom said to her with a smile as you walked towards Ray, who just sat down. "What was that about?" he asked. "Nothing, just Mom checking on me, that's all," you say nervously, fiddling with the tablecloth. Everyone eventually sat down at the table, and Mom stood at the top in the middle of one like she always does. "Good morning, my darling children. Let's be thankful that all 38 of you can live a happy life under this roof. Thank you for the food," everyone says in sync. After breakfast, Emma, Norman, and Yasmin went to the pantry to discuss what had happened last night. "Listen, Emma, Yasmin, we have to behave like we normally do. Yesterday we broke a rule and went to the gate, but we have to act like nothing ever happened." "But Yasmin's drawing of little Bunny," Emma said, glancing at you, then Norman. "Mom probably found them. She probably doesn't suspect us because we left little Bunny there. It could have been anyone. But we left Yasmin's drawing there, so she would probably suspect Yasmin. We don't know she found it, right?" you say, worried. "We have to assume the worst," Norman said. "Mom was smiling. She doesn't show it on her face at all," Emma said. "Then that's what we have to do as well. If she sees that you aren't being as cheerful as you usually are, then she has every right to suspect us. We can't lose to her, so smile," Norman answered. "The delicious meals, our white clothes that show when we're dirty, our well-regulated lives, All this to maintain our value as merchandise, Emma said. The only thing we can do is wait till we get shipped out randomly. It's not random, though, the demon said. Another 6-year-old. We've only been shipping out average quality meat lately, Norman said, remembering what the demons had talked about. What does that even mean? Emma asked. Judging from what they said, age probably signifies the quality of the meat. If I remember right, the siblings that have been shipped out were between 6 and 7 years old, Norman said, crossing his arms. Okay, so if being shipped out at 6 is the lowest, then 16 must probably be the highest, you add. But what about the daily tests? Meat won't start tasting better if we have a good score on a test, would it? Emma asked, confused. Yeah, but they never announce test scores unless we get full marks, Norman said. After we turn 6, we get harvest starting from the lowest score up. And when we turn 16, we get shipped out no matter what. We were never shipped out because we got full scores? Asked Emma. But I don't understand. Why would it taste better because of our scores? Norman said. Maybe it's the size of our bodies? No, then weight would matter too. No, you say. Emma and Norman both brought their attention to the girl in front of them. It's the size of our brains, you say, looking up at the pair. That means, Emma trailed off. The brain must taste the best, Norman finished. And the more developed, the better, you add. So that's why we're high-quality merchandise. Try to remember, before Connie was Heyo, then before him was Sadie. Based on this continuous cycle, so far, the next shipment should be in about 2 months, at the soonest, Norman said. Then we need to think of a way for all of us to escape together, Emma said. Yasmin and Norman nodded in response. Chapter 6, The Wall. Finally, free time came. Emma, Norman, and Yasmin walked through the bushes of the forest they would usually play tag in most days. Norman grabbed a small branch from a tree and drew a quick drawing of the house and the gate surrounded by a big circle. This is a simple drawing of the site. The house is in the middle, then further down the gate, Norman explained. You should leave the drawing to me, Norman, you added quickly before sneezing while examining his drawing. Emma giggled at your comment. We all know you're the artist here, Yasmin, Norman said, laughing a bit. Anyways, this is the forest surrounding us. Which one should we escape from? The gate or the forest? Norman finished, looking up at the two girls. How about the forest? The gate is always closed, except for when there's a shipment. And when it's open, Emma trailed off. The demons are there. You finish. So the forest at playtime during the day when we can run freely, or at night during a ship. No, not during a shipment. That means someone we love will die, Emma says loudly. Yeah, you're right. I'm worried some of the younger ones won't be able to stay up that late either. Then it's decided. We'll escape during the day through the forest, if that's possible, Norman said. That depends on what it's like beyond the forest, you say, as you sneeze again. Without hesitation, the trio jumped over the small black fence and bolted to the end of the forest. They look up at a gigantic cement wall in front of them. Norman walks along the wall and tries climbing a tree to see the top, but falls. Norman! Emma exclaims as she ran over to the boy. Norman, are you okay? She asks, and he smiles up at her. Yeah, I think I'm just too tired from thinking so much, he said. Yasmin walked over to them. It's okay, guys, I'll do it, you say as you start climbing the tree. You try your best to look over the wall. Is there anything up there? Asked Emma. Nothing. There's no guards, but the wall is pretty thick, maybe 2 or 3 meters thick. It's pretty tall. Norman walks along the wall again, followed by Emma, and he places his ear against it. It's pretty quiet. What do you think, Emma? Norman asked the girl standing beside him. It's very sturdy, and there's no rough edges for us to climb. You climbed back down to the ground from the tree to stand with Emma and Norman. That's what the wall wants us to think, said Norman. If it was you, me, or Yasmin, if we had a rope, we could easily climb this, he continued. There's no demons around, and the only one who seems to be watching us is Mom. Not too scary, he finished. A loud bell rang, making the trio run back to the house. As they were running back, Yasmin began to sneeze again. Are you okay, Yasmin? You've been sneezing quite a lot. Are you sick again? Emma asked as she stopped running. Yeah, you answered, sniffling. Emma smiled, and they made it back to the house. The three finally arrived on time. Emma and Norman were in front, followed by Yasmin, who was now trembling. Mom stood by the door of the house with all the other children. You walked towards Ray and stood next to him. Hey, Ray, you said, sounding a little congested. Ray facepalmed. Don't tell me you got a fever again, he asked, putting his hand on your forehead. It's not like I can help it. Plus, I'm fine, you explained. Ray linked his arm with yours. Come on, let's go to the infirmary before it gets worse. He sighed as they started walking. Mom! One of the younger children started shouting, alerting Ray and Yasmin to stop walking. Mark, are you all right? She asked the boy, leaning down to his height. I lost Nayla in the forest. I don't know what to do, the boy said, starting to sob. Mom pulled out a pocket watch from her dress and opened it, took a look, closed it just as soon. Emma and Norman kept an eye on Mom as she did so. It will be okay. Everyone stay here, Mom said to the children. Nayla will be fine. Let's go, Yasmin, before you get more sick, Ray said as they started to walk again. Okay, you say, too tired to argue with him. They eventually made it to the infirmary. Ray got some medicine for you as you laid down on the bed. Here, he said, holding out a full spoon of unusual medicine. This is new medicine? I'm not eating that. It smells disgusting, you say. We ran out of the usual one, but this one will help you just the same as the old one. It will make you feel better. Please, just drink it, he said, drawing the spoon closer to your mouth. Nope, you said, putting your hand over your mouth. Just do it for me, he asked once again. Fine. You give in and drink the medicine. That's gross, you sigh. It's better than being sick for a week, right? He answered. I guess. Ray closed the medicine box and handed you a glass of water, which you gladly took to get rid of the awful taste of the medicine. Can you stay with me? You asked the boy, who had just finished cleaning up. Yeah, of course. I was going to anyways, replied Ray as he pulled over a chair next to your bed. No, come sit, you say as you patted the spot next to you on the bed. He sat on the bed with you and took out a book he brought with him. Which book is that? You asked, leaning on his shoulder. You wouldn't like it, he said bluntly. Why is that? You raised an eyebrow. Because it's a fairy tale, he teased. I hope that's a joke because you know they're my favorite, you say, annoyed, lightly hitting him on the arm. Now tell me what it's actually about, you ask, intrigued. Ray smiled at your curiosity. It's about a princess who is locked away in a tower, and one day a knight from far away kingdom climbs the tower to find her, and they get married. There's no way you read that because you wanted to, you said. Well, of course I only brought it because you like these books, idiot, he says bluntly. Really? You ask genuinely. Yeah, to be honest, you kind of remind me of the princess, and suddenly Emma burst into the room. Yasmin, we need to talk to you, he shouted with Norman behind her. Chapter 7, The Infirmary. Tracking devices? You asked Emma, who was sitting on her bed, and Norman was sitting on the chair next to her. Ray had left to make dinner once again. Yes, when you left, Mom had found Nayla in an instant as soon as she looked at her pocket watch, Norman explained. Now that I think about it, she has always been good at finding us, you say. She used that opportunity to show us, Emma added. What about the wall? You asked the pair. I have a rough idea, but we're gonna need some rope. How about we meet at 10 p.m. in the hallway to discuss the plan? Norman asked. Emma and Yasmin nod. Emma and Norman started to head out of the room. See you then, Yasmin. Emma waved as the two left the infirmary. Emma and Norman walked down the hallway. Wait, what if the tracking devices are in our clothes and there's cameras listening to us? Emma asked, starting to panic a little. It's all right. I looked around and there's nothing like that here. He smiled. Dawn came around the corner and looked at the pair. Hey, Norman, can I have a sec? I think the clock in our room busted or something, Dawn said, scratching his head, looking at the blue-eyed boy with a smile. I'll take a look, Norman said, running up to Dawn. Emma walked down the hallway to where the little kids hung their drawings and noticed Connie's was missing. She slowly placed her hand over the spot where it should have been inside. Emma felt an eerie aura around her and looked beside her. It was Mom, staring right into her soul, with violet eyes as she held a dead straight face. What's wrong, Emma? You look pale, Mom said without showing any emotions. Little did either of them know, Norman was standing behind the wall, close, listening to them. Emma, who was lost for words at her mother's evil stare, just stared back at her in shock. You weren't your cheerful self this morning. She touched Emma's cheek softly. That's just, she said, now nervous and trying to find a way to break free from the tension. For a few seconds and silence. There was silence, and Norman was about to turn the corner when Emma finished her sentence. It's nothing. I just got a little bit sad thinking about how I'll have to leave the house soon, Emma said, finally finishing. Isabella smiled at the green-eyed girl. Do you like it at the house? She asked. Emma jumped to her mother, giving her a tight hug. Of course I do. I love the house and you, Mom, she said, trying to keep up the act as best as she could. Emma closed her eyes. I wonder what Connie's doing right now, she said, which made Norman tense up thinking of the state that Connie was in. Connie wanted to become a mother just like you, Mom, Emma smiled. Yes, I'm sure Connie will become a lovely mother, Mom replied. Norman furrowed his brows. And turned his hands into fists. Suddenly, a small bell started to ring. Ray came around the corner with it in his hands. Dinner's ready, Mom. Can you guys hurry up? I need to bring some on a tray to Yasmin because she's in the infirmary, Ray asked. I'll be right there, Mom replies, as all the children burst out of the different rooms, running down the hall down to the dinner hall. Norman decided to stop hiding and formed a fake smile. Come on, Emma, he said happily. Emma smiled and nodded as the two started walking down the stairs fast. Mom stood there at the landing. You two didn't happen to go to the gate yesterday, did you? The pair stopped and stayed silent for a moment. Of course not. That's against the rules. Besides, we were too tired to go anywhere after playing tag yesterday. Yeah, why would you ask? Emma questioned. All right, as long as you two didn't go, she replied, smiling as she crossed her arms, walking down the hall. The two smiled at their mother before rushing down the stairs. Emma fell to her knees, and Norman leaned against the railing. Can you stand? Norman asked, nervously sweating from their last encounter with their mom. Emma's whole body was shaking before she grabbed Norman's hand, helping her up. After dinner, Ray brought up a bowl of chicken and vegetable soup in it, with a side of buttered toast and a cold glass of water. He placed the food and drinks on a tray and walked up the stairs to the infirmary. He stopped at the door and knocked. Come in, a female voice answered softly. He opened the door slowly, trying to balance through the plate in his hands. I brought you your dinner in case you were hungry, Ray said. Oh, thank you, Ray, you answered with rosy cheeks. He placed the tray on the counter next to your bed. How are you feeling? Has the medicine kicked in yet? He asked, sitting on the side of the bed. A bit, I suppose, though chicken soup would make me feel much better, you say, trying to peer into the bowl Ray had brought you. Oh, that's too bad. It's tomato, Ray responded. What? You ask, annoyed. I'm only messing, he laughed, handing you the bowl with warm soup and a spoon. You took a spoonful. This is so good, you said, amazed. I only made it this one time because you were sick. I'm better at making other dishes, Ray said, crossing his arms. You're only fishing for compliments. This is amazing, though you've yet to catch up to me when it comes to cooking skills, you say proudly. Is that so? Asked Ray with a small smirk. Yep, you said. Then there was a knock at the door again. Come in, both you and Ray say in sync. Hi, Yasmin. How are you feeling? It was Emma and Jeremiah. I'm feeling a little better after drinking this soup. I think I'll be better by tomorrow, you smile. Not so fast, Yasmin. When you're sick, you usually last up to 3 days, warned Ray. No, she has to be better by tomorrow. She's supposed to play castle with me, Phil, and the others, Jeremiah demanded, flopping onto the end of Yasmin's bed. If we let her rest, she'll be better by tomorrow, he explained to the young girl. But you've been in here all day, sitting with her and reading and giving her soup. You're hogging Yasmin, and it's our turn to hang out with her, Jeremiah argued. What? That's not true, Ray argued back, turning slightly red out of embarrassment. How about we all leave Yasmin alone for right now? Emma added. Fine, both Ray and Jeremiah said, obviously annoyed, glaring at each other. Yasmin giggled. I promise to play with you tomorrow, Jeremiah, you said, giving Jeremiah a hug. Okay, good night, Yasmin, Jeremiah smiled, hopping off the bed. Hey, come on, Ray, you have to leave too, Jeremiah tugged on Ray's shirt sleeve. All right, give me a second, he argued, picking up Yasmin's bowl. Come over here for a second, you said, sitting up straight on the bed. What is it? He asked, leaning down to you. She held his face and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Thank you for looking after me, you say with a warm smile. Ray's eyes widen, and his face slowly turns as red as a tomato. Of course, he replied, walking towards the door. Jeremiah narrowed her eyes and examined Ray's face. Oh my gosh, she gasps. Ray likes Yasmin! Ray likes Yasmin! Jeremiah sung as she skipped down the hallway. Emma laughed, also leaving before giving a quick wave at Yasmin. Ray's face turned even redder as he ran after the girl. Shh, that's not true, he shouted down the hallway. Chapter 8, The Nightmare. Yasmin was sitting in her bed, writing down some recipes she came up with in her notepad to make in the upcoming few days when she gets better. She felt rather bored from being alone in the cold, dark infirmary by herself. There was a knock at the door. Finally, Ray! I was wondering what took you so long, you said, smiling at the door, waiting for Ray to open it. But instead, she was met with a familiar, tall, raven-haired woman. Oh, hi, Mom. I thought you were Ray, you admitted with a nervous laugh. Mom just smiled at you and sat down on the wooden chair next to your bed. It's all right, Yasmin. I just came in here to ask how you're feeling, Mom said. I'm feeling much better. To be honest, I think that soup Ray made is helping me more than the medicine, you replied. That's good to hear, Mom said as she leaned closer to the girl, placing something in her hand and started to walk out of the room. You dropped this. The woman smiled creepily, trying to scare Yasmin as she closed the door behind her and left. Yasmin quickly opened her hand to reveal a crumpled piece of paper. It was the drawing she made for Connie. She dropped it at the gate when they hid under the truck. Yasmin stared at it, her eyes opening wider. I hope Emma and Norman have a good plan, you whispered to yourself as you placed the drawing beside the bed. About an hour later, you were fast asleep until you sat up in your bed, sweat dripping down your forehead. That was a horrible nightmare. I don't even recognize anyone in it, you say to yourself. I wonder if Ray's still awake. you ask yourself, before wrapping the blanket around you and walking out of the infirmary to the library. Ray? You say loudly. You open the library doors. Ray was in the back of the library looking through the bookshelves, but as soon as he noticed you, he walked right up to you. Hey, what are you doing out of bed? He asked in a confused tone. Sorry, you should be asleep. You need your rest. You're still sick, he said, standing in front of you. I know, I just got scared. Of what? The boy's face softened. It sounds kind of stupid, but I just had a bad dream and I was wondering if I could stay with you for a bit. Ray sighed and then smiled. Okay, fine. That does sound kind of stupid though, the boy answered, putting an arm around your shoulder and guiding you back to the infirmary. Hey, when you were younger you had bad nightmares too, and you used to fall asleep with me, so return the favor, you whisper loudly, glaring at him. He just laughed and she hit his arm. You eventually make it back to the infirmary. You lay down on the bed and Ray gently places the blanket on top of you as he sits down on the wooden stool next to you and open the book he brought. You patted the spot on the bed next to you. Do I have to? Yep, fine, he answered, but it was obvious that he didn't mind. He laid down on the bed next to you and opened the book. Is that the Princess in the Castle book from last time? You asked. Yep, I brought it for us to read. Though it's not one of my favorites, it's obviously one of yours, so I thought it would help you sleep, he said, looking away in embarrassment. Thanks, you said quickly and before sneezing. Ray handed her a tissue and you thanked him. I promise I'll make a really nice dinner when I'm well again, and say thanks for looking after me, you say while throwing the tissue in the bin. Yasmin and Ray read about 5 chapters of the book before they both fell asleep. Ray was practically hugging Yasmin in his sleep, and Yasmin was peacefully laid there, until a faint knock on the door woke her up suddenly. Yasmin rubbed her eyelids and looked at the door. Oh, right, the meeting, she said to herself, about to get up when she felt a weight bringing her down. It was Ray, with his arms wrapped around her. Yasmin's face turned red. Ray, you said quietly. Ray turned over to his side. 5 more minutes, he said, faintly still asleep, which made the room for Yasmin to get up and out of the room. Finally, you broke free and left the room. Emma and Norman were standing outside of the door. Emma had a grin on her face. I saw that, she sang, looking at you. Huh? You asked. Don't act dumb. We saw you and Ray, she blurted out. That was by mistake. We were only reading a book. He wasn't supposed to fall asleep, you loudly whisper, trying to defend yourself. Norman laughed quietly. It's okay, Yasmin. We'll discuss the plan. So we go inside the locked room and grab the rope and hide it, you ask as both Norman and Emma nod. After the trio retrieved the rope and hid it, the next day, Yasmin had to tell them about her encounter with Mom earlier that evening. Mom came into the infirmary and handed my gift for Connie, saying, You dropped this and then left. So you're definitely a suspect then, Emma said, staring at the ground. It's okay, Yasmin. We'll find a way around this. She also asked if we went to the gate, so it wasn't just you, but all 3 of us. You sighed. All right, let's talk more tomorrow. Also, I think we should tell Ray. I feel bad for leaving him out. He has the right to know, you added before heading back to the infirmary. Let's chat about that tomorrow too, yeah? Emma asked the pair, and they nodded and went to their separate ways. Yasmin crawled back into the bed to be met with a sleepy Ray at her side. She brushed some hair out of his face and whispered goodnight to him before falling asleep herself. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. This one is definitely longer because I read 4 chapters instead of 2, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless, and have a good night, day, evening, whatever. Love you all.